Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Mr. Smock, Vulcan Cultural Officer. So joining me here today is Micho, a gamer girl. Some of you may recognize her for her various cosplay as well as online persona for gaming. And Carol, who is a Star Wars fangirl.
Hi.
So we are talking here today about the movie Ready Player One. But for those of you who have not heard anything about Ready Player One, which would defy logic because if you are watching this channel, which is about geek pop culture, there is no likelihood that you have missed some snippets of Ready Player One. So to summarize, Ready Player One is based on a novel written by Ernest Cline released in the year 2011. Still very far backward from where I come from in Vulcan. But nevertheless, it was adapted by a screenplay with Ernest Cline contributing and directed by the legendary Steven Spielberg. The main story takes place in the year 2045 in another dystopian Earth future which is overpopulated, overcrowded, and much of the population is bordering on poverty. So to escape the drudgery of real life, they enter the Oasis, which is a virtual world where every person can live out their most amazing fantasies and think of it as the ultimate multiplayer online RPG. So, the Oasis was invented by James Halliday, a somewhat eccentric human individual, in the year 2025. However, he passes away not that long after in the year 2040, but leaves a legacy whereby for players to inherit the Oasis and the empire associated with it, they have to find three magic keys on what's essentially a quest by his avatar, Anurag's quest. And those who can find the three Easter eggs, shall we say, will inherit the Oasis and his fortune. So 5 years later on, the first key still hasn't been located yet, and that begins our story with the protagonist, Wade Watts, played by Ty Sheridan, who's a teenager living in the stalls or could be the slums of Columbus, Ohio, in the future United States. He's supported by a host of other characters in the virtual and the real world. His virtual avatar goes by the name of Parzival. He soon teams up with a female avatar called Artemis. He's good friends with a giant tank-looking orc-ish avatar called H. And there's two sort of like samurai ninja brothers called Daito and Shoto.
Show.
I stand corrected. So starting first, Micho, perhaps you could share your thoughts on Ready Player One, the movie, as a gamer girl.
Well, I was looking forward to watch the movie since last year because one thing is that I'm a huge fan of director Steven Spielberg, but also because this movie is talking about gaming, virtual reality, it seems like something I would be interested. Which after watching it today, it didn't disappoint me. There's a lot of gaming reference inside, with also old school movies, those cameos and Easter egg. So it really brings the nostalgic feeling back. And as a gamer, it's a movie that I deeply appreciate. Yep.
And there is so full of loaded cameos or references to video game, geek pop culture, dating back, I think, our last 3 decades to the 1980s. I mean, say what are some of the highlights that you two ladies spotted in the movie that really sort of tickled your geek bone?
Well, first will be Tracer from Overwatch. Yeah, she's a bit prominent, especially for the goggles she wear.
Yeah,
I noticed her because of that.
yeah. And the orange pants is like the color is very striking.
Yeah. And then they just had to put her in a sea of people wearing black. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what were your personal favorites of the moment where a particular franchise cameo or appearance that it really caught you and got you excited? How about each of you? What were your highlights for that?
Wow, that's
Or there were
a
too
lot. But I was like, whoa, that's Beetlejuice. There's also like Jim Reno from StarCraft. That was like, ah! Well, because Blizzard, I mean, we are expecting Tracer because she's shown in the trailer, but I certainly did not expect Jim Reno to come out and has like a long, I think 5 to 10 seconds of appearance. I was like, damn it. Yeah.
I think I saw an X-Wing for like 1 second. I think less than that. I wasn't sure because I'm not very good with all the planes and stuff. So yeah, and then
I recall you kind of had audio reaction when it was mentioned
Audio reaction.
Padawan.
Yeah, I did. Like the moment you said the word Padawan, I was like, Star Wars. Is there Star Wars in there? Yeah, but I did see something that resembles a lightsaber inside there, but that's about it. Yeah.
So while the Star Wars references are a bit vague, the Star Trek references, I am pleased to inform, is very obvious, especially if you're a Trekkie. The biggest one appears on a somewhat sad moment, but the Starfleet insignia and the Mark 6 torpedo is very obvious.
Yep.
Live long and prosper.
No, you should join the rebellion.
Maybe in another sequel. So, Carol, you are not a gamer girl per se. So, this movie was very much angled towards that targeting the gamer audience. If you saw a trailer, you say, oh, this is a video game movie. And thereby, I think a lot of reviews which has been released for this movies really do hail it very, very well, highly among the video game communities. But how about your take on it, being outside that community?
Okay, initially when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, this is probably not a movie that I will want to watch lah. Then today, after given the chance to watch it, I can say pretty much it doesn't look anything like this poster behind me here. The trailer also doesn't really like show how awesome the movie is also, because I don't know, they somehow choose a direction that just didn't attract me lah.
I think most certainly that poster as we see behind you, it's not exactly the most visually attractive poster. It doesn't really say what the movie is on about either, although it hints about some sort of virtual reality engagement, but it doesn't say very much. So also I think if you're saying like the immediate visual appeal when you look at the poster may not quite be there. And also what you said, the trailers are all very, shall we say, gamer centric. So outside that, what really appealed? I mean, you can see, of course, much of the movie, as expected, takes place in the Oasis, the virtual world. But of course, it will take place in the so-called real world of this dystopian future. Were you particularly engaged more with the virtual or the real world?
Oh, I definitely was more engaged with the virtual side of things, because it's like all the possibilities, the unlimited possibilities, fantasies that you can do in that kind of world. If I were to choose whether I would like to live in reality or there, I would probably choose there.
Which exactly is the whole premise of the movie. The world has basically evolved, or people in this dystopian future has basically decided to live out their time in the virtual world instead of the real world, because it's much more exciting than the day-to-day mundane life. Of course, the virtual world is not without challenges either. Gamers will be most familiar with the system whereby you are there what's the word, farming for gold.
Yeah, farming.
Farming to upgrade your avatar. There is a virtual currency in the game, and I think that's where the main antagonist comes in for this show in the form of IOI Corporation. Was it pronounced IOI?
Yeah,
or was
IOI.
It IOI or 101? Not to be confused with IOI Plantations Malaysia. This is IOI, a tech corporation in this fictional future, which produces VR gear. And they also appear to have indentured people into, what do you call? Does it sound like they're having slave labor farming with those?
It does sound like slavery at one
Kinda,
point.
yeah. Well, they are using the facility, the loyalty club thing to control the people and kind of like trick them into doing the work for them. So yeah, I guess it's kind
I
of
don't think it's trick. I can understand its arrangement whereby, okay, this is where humans in this fictional world has not evolved beyond the inherent greed for more money and power. And this also takes place in that virtual world whereby I think we see it pretty much in not so much Wage Watts, but his aunt's partner, boyfriend, husband, who is basically gambling away the family's life savings within the virtual world. And those who have taken on this certain amount of debt due to borrowing from the IOI corporation then becomes indentured into their service in the virtual world. But it's still a virtual world and hasn't progressed beyond the point you still need to eat and sleep. So that's the virtual world, and I think that's also a remark that is mentioned towards the end of the film, and there is a moral to that story. Which I think we would not go into as it is actually kind of a big spoiler. So Micho, you mentioned earlier there are 60 moments which sent you crying. So would you share what was this big emotional response to your gamer self? If you can actually share that without spoiling the movie.
Let me think. Well, inside the movie, there's this game maker, James Halliday. Yeah. So, well, he created this world thinking that there should be no rules. People should enjoy themselves and be whatever they want, do whatever they want. So it kind of reminds me like in this world where there's also like a lot of game makers, they really dedicate their life and their fortune, all their hard works to create world for gamers like us to, as in they create good content shit.
Content.
Yeah, good content. Yeah, so yes.
And the virtual content in the Oasis is immense. It's not one world like say Dota or the World of Warcraft. It is multiple worlds in galaxies and no doubt there's millions of users.
So I can somehow relate it to, as a gamer, that you wanted to create a good platform and good content for your gamers. It kind of feels like we are friends, and I can understand why he wanted to do this, how he wanted us all to have no boundaries and connect each other and have fun together. So when he say what he has to say to our main character, I cry. Yeah, because I can felt that in every grown man there's a child inside that still not just that want to have fun, but want us all to connect. Even that maybe in a real life he's like very awkward, he don't know how to connect and communicate with others, but at least he try to connect people in his reality, virtual reality.
Carol, and were you closely engaged with any of the main characters? Scoff, there's Wade Watts, Percival. There is Artemis, that's H, and the brothers Daito and Sho, right? So they form kind of
The high five.
clan
Yeah.
or
The
team
high five.
called the High Five,
Yeah.
and that's, I think it's also a message there because Wade Ward starts the game basically as a solo player, and I think there is a message there that teaming up, you can achieve much more.
Yep.
So was there any characters that you attuned to?
Attuned to. I kind of like Artemis, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Her character was very cool, and those kind of like, I can take charge of almost anything without fear, that kind of type. I really like that character a lot lah. But then who was his Percival. I like the way they built his character because somehow it's like, he doesn't really have like an end goal, something like that, and then he sort of like, in the end still achieve something that he didn't think that he would achieve.
And the movie does take place in a very breakneck pace. When you think about it, the gamers have actually been searching for the first key to Analog's Quest for 5 years.
Yeah.
And upon you find the first key, everything falls into place very quickly after that. But I think that is the formula of most movies. It's not that, okay, we find, then 5 years later we find another key, and then by then our characters are all old and aged.
Yeah, but the way they found the keys was really interesting. I was trying to guess at the same time when they gave out the clues also. But somehow I just did not manage to make the connection.
But Micho, as a gamer girl, what do you think that the way that quest was envisioned into this movie, is it something that you have experienced before really in a gaming world, and it's like it directly connects you with?
Yeah, I mean, don't want to spoiler so much, but Easter egg is often practiced in video games nowadays. So it's certainly like makes you feel like that's how gaming works. Where the game maker, they will put in all those like they don't want you to just win the game. They want you to explore the games. They really put their hard work in and then explore all the secrets, all those things. So Easter egg, which is a core point in the movie, really like make use of the idea of Easter egg.
So how would you compare this with other games related to video games which have come out recently? I mean, the most recent we can talk with is Tomb Raider, which was released earlier this month. Of course, a year and a half ago we had Warcraft, the movie. It's another sort of video game, gaming-centric movie.
I'll find this more engaging. Might be also be the fact because there's like different worlds involved, and then you like travel through the worlds. Something like Wreck-It Ralph, like that. Just that Wreck-It Ralph doesn't have the reality part. It's all the virtual. Yeah.
Well, compared to movies like Tomb Raider or Warcraft, they already have a specific target audience that they wanted to market to. Like, for example, Tomb Raider players, or the previous movies fans. But this one, Ready Player One, they put in so many references that even if you are not a gamer or if you didn't watch like any of the old school movie, you will still be able to recognize something from there, and then it makes you wanted to find out more from the movie. So I guess that's the pro of this movie.
Well, I would add on to that as well. It's not just gaming franchises that you are seeing in this movie. You are also seeing elements of the classic Greek pop culture from the 1980s. So for those growing up in the era, I'm sure you will get a thrill out of seeing the DeLorean from Back to the Future, as well as Kaneda's bike from Akira, among many others.
Oh, and Chucky.
Chucky, Freddy, Jason Voorhees, yes, they all make an appearance. To throw out a few other names from Street Fighter, there is also Chun-Li, Ryu, Lanka. So all this actually makes good reason to go and rewatch the movie to try and spot out. I'm sure there are certain hardcore fans out there who are trying to list out every single Easter egg reference there are. It will probably take 10 viewings or more plus various notepads to try and catch everything. But if you're patient, I am certain when this movie comes out on Blu-ray, you will have the benefit of freeze framing every single scene. And that's when we sat back in the end credits in anticipation whether there were any additional end credit scenes. For the record, there isn't, so you need not sit back towards the end. But towards the end of the end credits trailers, there is a long list of with courtesy to Bandai, with courtesy
Konami,
to Konami, Atari, and all these other I would say IP holders, which allow all their different characters and trademarks to have appeared together in this movie. Certainly, I imagine the copyright lawyers had serious nightmares trying to put all this together. So let's just come towards a conclusion and allow spoilers. Warning, spoilers. Is there anything related to the main plot of the movie that you two would like to just get off your chest and just with the freedom of going in spoiler territory?
Not really main plot. I had this really I keep like sort of giggling whenever the main villain comes out, mainly because I remember him more as Tarkin from, I think it was Rogue One that he appeared.
No, he was actually Director Krennic.
Oh, sorry,
Ben Mendelsohn is Director Krennic, and
Director
he is the
Krennic,
main
my bad.
villain here.
Yeah, so it felt like he was controlling the whole group of stormtroopers. I could not
As the
help
head of
that.
IOI Corporation, he has basically a whole army legion of people dressed in white with visors who are kind of looking like stormtroopers.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's where the geek fangirl kind of like screams every time.
Yeah, sorry for getting the name wrong.
How about Micho? What would you like to? You want to talk about that scene which sends you crying? Then it's like this is the chance. Spoilers.
Okay, but just now she was mentioning about the main villain. I actually liked the character development where he's the bad guy, but still he got his like so-called clumsy and soft spot moment where, for example, he put his password by the rim there. So it's like, hey, that is like so human. It's like, yeah. Even bad guy also, they are like not forever smart and remembers everything. He will not know how to like control the orb thing.
Yeah. That was interesting because they put a non-player as non-gamer
essentially
as
he's non-gamer.
As the head villain, which was quite amusing in a sense.
Yeah. And I like how he didn't shoot our main character at the end.
I think that's also bears discussion that ultimately what changes his opinion, and none of that was actually verbalized, so we can actually lead to speculate. He knew it's either that Wade has won, and what would happen if you end up killing him, or would it benefit him more? I think that character had an internal maybe revelation or epiphany at that particular point. But it's not verbalized. So, but something like that, I think it gives reason to go read the novel. But noting which I understand the novel itself is not a direct translation into the movie screenplay, and certain major elements have been changed, and I'm sure with the power of the computer, i.e. Google, you all can look into that debate, and for people who are already comparing the movie to the novel and which is better. Major highlight for the movie, I would like to claim that as a sci-fi geek, that moment where transformed into Gundam to fight Mecha Godzilla, that was a major highlight for a sci-fi fan.
That one was
That was epic, man.
epic.
That was epic. The Gundam part was like, wow.
The moment he spoke that line of Japanese, I was like, oh god. Yeah.
I really like the Terminator thumbs up reference.
Yes, that was actually
like
quite a discreet reference. I think it's good that you called it, and I think a number of other fanboys or girls in the cinema also caught that. And
Yeah,
gave
it's
that
like,
as well.
whoa.
Yeah. I had to miss out some parts because of the horror elements. So
Oh yeah, the shiny.
yeah, the shiny part.
Yeah.
I think there was one whole segment of the movie which relates to The Shining. And I'm certain those who have watched The Shining can make a more direct association of the scenes and what the supporting character should do, not do, but gets into trouble doing. And internally, I'm sure you're like screaming, "Don't do that! Don't do that!"
Yeah.
So half the cinema hall.
Well,
Yeah.
just like the character age, yeah. Well, he didn't know about that movie. That's why he do what he should not do, which also is funny.
Yeah.
So to conclude, what is your rating for this movie, Carol? Out of 10?
I would say 10. I actually really enjoyed it, surprisingly lah.
Joe?
Well, over 9,000. Over 9,000, yes.
I'm sure some of you would get that reference.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much for watching another Vulcan review. We hope to have more again, and please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is My Sci-Fi Fan Outpost. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under the handle Outpost My. Thank you very much again. Thank you, Micho. Thank you, Carol.
Thanks for having us.
Peace and long life. Live long and prosper.
You will forget that he said that.
GG easy! Okay.